Got an upcoming audit or want to just continuously validate the technical controls of any given compliance mandate? Well, fear not, AI queries got you covered. Let's hop in the tech and show you exactly how. Okay, so let's call it the elephant in the room here. Can utilizing AI query say, hey, now I'm in compliance with whatever? No, of course not. There's so many controls associated. They're not technical driven. They're about processes and procedures internally. But where we come in, given the stateful information that we can gather, is in helping validate the technical controls associated with any given compliance mandate. And on top of that, being able to validate where gaps may exist so you can rectify them. So that's really our focal point here. So again, our base capability, gathering that stateful information, becomes wildly helpful for things like configurations and logs and whatnot. But what I've done here is I've actually created a couple of templates. And as you can see, I mentioned this in a prior video, but we have a whole new dedicated, awesome little UI page. So I've gone ahead and I've referenced CMMC level 2 for readiness purposes, because I know it's kind of the hot topic right now, which falls under NIST SP 800-171 revision 2A for the assessment objectives. And I tried mapping queries to that. This is constantly evolving, and we're going to constantly keep adding and improving. But initially, wanted to have a way to do a bulk assessment, get the technical requirements needed to prove you are in compliance or identify where gaps need to be remedied to actually then adhere to a compliance mandate. And I'm working through PCI and HIPAA as well. But in this case, let's take specifically just 514 system and information integrity. And as you can see, I tried breaking down each of them to the given control. And then within the actual descriptions, I talk about the assessment objectives. As you'll note, some say requires configuration, some have a time frame. So we can talk through that, but just to get really quick and simple, day one, this is out of the box, no configuration needed aside from the specified ones. And the reason for that is actually I'm pulling a lot of the Windows base information, right? Defender, firewall, what have you. So if you had another tool like a CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, what have you, you can actually create a custom extension to be able to pull the logs and config files associated with those tools, and then just plug that into this actual assessment template. But if you're using base Windows tools, got all that covered with the Windows event log. So what we'll do is we'll hit edit and run query pack. We will select a device, which in this case we'll just normally what you do is you probably select a whole swath of devices by specifying a group and et cetera, et cetera. But little demo environment, what can you do? So I'm just going to pick my personal little desktop machine, VM that I have running. And then here you get a little preview of what each of these actually require. Again, that's the one that requires configuration, but you can look at some of the other queries. Added as many as I could from a case statement applicability, so it's very easy to read. But yeah, so you can add, monitor, edit, whatever you want. And then when you go to preview, if you did make any changes, let's say you did utilize a custom extension, you can save that as a preset for later. So that you can say, hey, I'm going to run this template, but actually with the modifications I've added. Or you can also schedule it, as we kind of talked about with scheduling, set it up on a recurring schedule, run it either, rate based every X number of days or cron based every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, select time zone. You get the gist. Largely, the larger point is ensuring continuous compliance by having that constant checking of what's going on in the environment to adhere to each one of these controls. So what I'll do here is I've selected my device. Everything looks good. I don't need to schedule it for now. I'll show an example of that. But then we'll hit submit. And then once that's created, we'll pop on over and check out the results. So we can see right here, we have the standard type being CMMC NIST level 2, the amount of queries in that pack that I've made, which is 9, when it was run and by whom, just standard information. But if we click into it, we'll actually see the queries queued up and we'll see the progress being in pending as expected, and we should see results here shortly. So while we give that a second to kind of chug and think a little bit, what we want to do is we can go over and we can look at the specific mandate. So rather than going through all of these, I can break down. Sorry if you heard the hummus sound in the background, it's my Slack sound. Right here, update malicious code protection mechanisms when new releases are available. So just taking that one because it's simple, straightforward, and we're going to do it for Windows Defender. Again, once again, if you had another third-party tool that is not Windows Defender, you can create a custom extension. That's why custom extensions are so freaking cool and valuable, but I digress. Otherwise, what we can do is we can actually look at this, window defender update protections that directly maps to that actual assessment objective. So give it just a moment here and we should have results. All right, so we don't actually have all the results, which is fine. Again, if you're scheduling it, you just set a time earlier in the morning or what have you and come in and check in. But we actually add an intentional jitter into the agent so that if you are running a massive amount of queries in a query pack, like we're seeing right here with the assessment templates, this one's a smaller one, only 9, but some have 30 plus. There's a slight delay just to make sure that we're not crushing resources on that device, but we can actually see right here the 14.4 update protections, Windows Defender update history. We have a result 4. So what we'll want to do is click on that. We can check out the data. And again, pretty straightforward. But first thing we'll want to sort on is date time here. So we get the most recent. And then right there, we can see what the product version is, the actual security intelligence, the current security intelligence, and what the previous engines were. So we right there immediately have the proof. I could actually probably do a shorter time frame, but we immediately have the proof that, hey, the antivirus and anti-spyware definitions were updated today, which is October 28th, earlier today. And so we can prove indeed that we have the latest version because it went from 507 to 520. So there you go. That's a direct control for this exact assessment objective. I can obviously go through others, but that would be a very long, very boring video. This is just a larger point of cool. You have these out of the box templates, validate, so you can prove the technical controls of a compliance mandate to an auditor, or you can identify where there are gaps that you need to rectify and ensure that you're maintaining continuous compliance. Which brings us to the scheduled assessments. I know I kind of walked through what that flow would look like, but just to show you what it would look like right here. So this is only run once, had it run multiple times, which I believe this one has run multiple times. You'll see each successive run, the time it was run on, the standard, and who initiated it. So the initiating is actually just going to be the name of the query pack itself. And then if we check out right here, look at the access control. This is one of the ones I was putting together for HIPAA. And so a very simple one is force logoff config. And if we wanted to check that out, you can see right here has some case statements in the actual query looking for the security profile info of if force logoff config is allowed, which directly maps to the automatic logoff. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. As always, check out our YouTube and our company page. And otherwise, catch y'all next time. See ya.